Welcome back to another Next Day Notes. It's not the next day. It's post-game. Game's been over about, I don't know, an hour or less. Man, mixed feelings about the game. I guess I'm feeling most down is that the season's over. They all go by so quickly, and so that fact is settling in. The season is over. As much as this has been a hard season to watch at times, I still look forward to every Saturday now. It's like, oh, well, that's it. And of course, going to the offseason, losing to your rival that doesn't even have a fucking coach. Granted, the optics are worse than reality. The reality is Florida is much more talented than Florida State. And I tried telling my friends this. Oh, but we got blown out by South Carolina. We lost to Missouri. We lost to LSU. Like, that's fine. But you're at home. This is a rivalry game. We're not any good when it comes to talent. We're an improving team from the beginning of the year till now, but we're still not good. This will be a game. Florida is favored for a fucking reason, in spite of not having a coach. I mean, I still thought we had a good chance to win. But as a lot of people talked about, a good start likely would have led to a win. But it was about the worst start you could imagine. UF got a quick score. We lost Jordan Travis for a couple series. And, it was a lot of horrible football to watch from both teams, really. I mean, 6 combined turnovers, 21 combined penalties, and those are just the penalties that were called. I mean, it was ugly. The most disappointing part of the game was when, for a stretch there, it was like, all right, we're gonna lose by 3 scores to an underachieving Florida team without a coach. We did come back and make it a 3-point game and had a chance to onside to see what happens. Of course, the ending to that, wow, just can't even kick it properly. What a microcosm of this team's special teams for the season. Absolutely slapdick. This game, the outcome doesn't really change my feelings on the long-term trajectory of the program. This program, especially when you look at the numbers, is headed in the right direction. Still a long way to go. You still got to recruit your way out of this mess. And on that note, Norvell said they'll be recruiting starting at 6 in the morning tomorrow. It really would have been nice to get this win in a year you didn't expect to beat Miami or UF. You snuck one past Miami. You couldn't quite pull this one out. And again, it was always possible. Florida is clearly a more talented team. They came with effort today, and when they did that, you knew this was going to be a battle. Now, it was like kind of a battle of the stupids because it was, for the most part, it was an ugly game to watch, but we needed to play near perfectly, and we didn't. We didn't protect the ball. They had 3 turnovers, 13 penalties. We matched their turnovers with our own 3, and we had 8 penalties of our own. You have 1 turnover, you likely win the game. Travis doesn't miss any series. Maybe you score on one of those series that he missed. Maybe you win the game. Right? Emery stays in the game for the 3rd and 4th quarter when he was so bad they yanked him. There's a lot of things. It's really hard for me to nitpick on offensive and defensive play calling. It was just, there were some times, like on that 3rd and 21, where it's like, it wasn't necessarily the defensive play call. Hey, our guys are right there to stop them behind the chains. We didn't fucking tackle. Or, our defensive line, which has been good all year, couldn't get to their quarterback enough. Now, I will say, there was a ton of egregious holding by UF, but that wasn't the only reason they kept our D-line at bay. UF's offensive line is actually pretty good. One of the better O-lines we faced, but yeah, there were definitely plenty of times where I'm like, are they going to call a hold? Like, literally hands and arms around the neck choking, right? But there were also many moments where they were just stalemating our D-line. We weren't getting the normal type of pressure we were getting, so you have to give them some credit. But it's just, It's frustrating loss. It's disappointing because it's your rival. It would have been nice to go into the offseason being state champs, headed to a bowl game, even though it would have been a crappy bowl game. But it still would have been nice, and especially for those casual fans, the haters that are just still so stuck on Willie Taggart. It's like, look, I'm not a Mike Norvell stan by any stretch. I've criticized him. I've criticized people on the staff. But just because Mike and Willie are both 9-12 through 21 games, the program isn't in the same place. You're not watching the games. If you think the program in its current state is in the same spot it was under Willie when Willie finished 9-12, I don't know what games you're watching. I don't know what stats you're looking at. While this current team still has a long way to go, it's clearly in a better spot than it was when Willie was shit canned. And it's in a better spot with less talent. And what is Willie doing, by the way, at FAU? Inherited a decent situation relative to FAU standards. You know, Kiffin left there with 10 wins, okay recruiting based on FAU standards, and he's already driven FAU into the side of the fucking mountain. I think they're going to finish 5-7, and they got blown out by like 40 points to Western Kentucky. I mean, can we please just stop bringing him up? Besides, we know Mike's not getting fired. This administration's not throwing down cash and firing another guy to pay another guy to still pay Willie and have another transition class. Like, it's not happening. But what does need to be done, though, is, as I've said before, this is not a gut reaction to this game. You have to make 1 to 2 changes on the staff, if for no other reason than recruiting purposes. We clearly need more talent. That's been evident all season long. There's also been, especially early in the season, poor coaching and personnel decisions by the coaching staff. The Jacksonville State game, let's face it, cost you bowl eligibility because you fuck-dicked around. And that's not the only game that the coaching staff was deserving of criticism, but that's the most egregious. You fuck-dicked around, treated it as a scrimmage, and then, of course, you know, that lovely, not calling prevent defense on the last play. You'd be bowl eligible. Be a completely different narrative from some other folks, but it is what it is. But if you're going to dig yourself out of this talent-deficient hole, you need as many good recruiters as possible. And right now, when again, guys like Marv and Thompson are sitting barely in the top 100 amongst ACC recruiters, that's not good enough. It's not good enough. I know Marv is doing a solid job coaching up the talent he has, but we need to get better talent than here, point blank. I will take an average on-field coach and an ace recruiter in college football all day long. No question. I've said it before. And I think I said last time, or one of my last videos, that, not much point in bringing up Fuller anymore. I think he's not going anywhere. That's not me saying I want him back. I would not be sad to see him go. I'll tell you that. Again, if for no other reason than recruiting. Forget the on-field shenanigans we've seen throughout his 21 games as DC. And yes, the defense has gotten better this year from start to finish. But still, this defense, and I've said it a while back, I thought this defense had a potential to be a top 25, top 30 defense. And it's come nowhere close. These last few games, it's played much better, played closer to its potential. But on the season, nowhere close to that. And that side of the ball, while lacking depth of talent, definitely in its, starting 11 or top 15 players on D, you had enough talent to be a much better D. So if you're someone that defends Fuller, I don't get it. But pretty sure he's not going anywhere. So that's why I keep moving on to Thompson and Marv, because they seem to be the two, beyond Fuller, seem to be the two worst recruiters on the staff. So now it's a long fucking off season. I hate it. I hate college football off seasons because they're so fucking long. They're even longer when you don't make a bowl. You got to wrap up this recruiting class. I don't know if this game is going to sway a couple blue chippers you've been talking to here that may or may not commit to you. It really shouldn't. Hell, you could still sell this. Hey, went into the swamp, talented team. We lost by 3. We need you to get us over the hump. Because, I believe we've had 12 games, right? I think 7. I think this is now the 7th game, for all intents and purposes, was decided by one possession. You know what gets you winning more of those close games? Rhetorical question. More fucking talent. And we do have some more talent coming in this current recruiting class, but if you could add a couple more guys that might at least contribute, maybe not be regular starters as freshmen, but at least contribute, they could be a difference in some of these close losses. We'll see who hops into the portal. You're going to have to hit that hard. You're going to have to get a QB, not necessarily to start, but for depth. We see what happens when Travis goes out. Who do we have? Nobody. Milton is awful and not a shell of his former self. Of course, he's gone anyways. Rodemaker sucks. You need to go get another transfer QB for, if anything, depth. Travis is the starter going in 2022. There's no doubt in my mind. You got to go grab someone else. You have to try and figure out how to replace Jermaine Johnson's lost productivity. Maybe that means you grab 2 defensive ends in the portal. You need to grab maybe a center in the portal. And probably another offensive lineman, don't care what position, for more depth. You need to grab at least 1 wide receiver, if not 2, from the portal. I mean, this class is likely going to be like last year's. They're probably going to be knocking on the door of 10 transfer players. And it's going to be needed because I tell you what, you go into year 3 without filling some of these holes through the portal and maybe a few freshmen, if that doesn't happen where you can get some guys to at least help mitigate what you're losing, you know, Jermaine Johnson, Keir Thomas, probably Jamie Robinson, a lot of the defense, a lot of some of the best players. Then the win total's not, you know, you likely have to be conservative in how many games you think they're going to win next year. But there's at least a bar. You can't, regardless of the losses, you can't, you know, maybe whiff in the portal and go out and finish next year 5-7. Fuck the climb. You win 5 games in year 3. I would think he'd be on the fucking hot seat at that point. Regardless of the losses they're about to incur on defense, especially, bare minimum, you go make another step next year. You make a bowl. And no, that is not saying I'm accepting the fact in year 3, yay, I'm super happy in year 3, that's our goal. I'm just accepting reality. This roster has been so depleted of talent, and yes, as I've said, this season, the staff completely butt-fucked the first half of the year when it comes to coaching decisions and personnel decisions. But the situation is what it is, and knowing what you lose on defense, you can't go out there and say, oh, year 3, go win 10 games. It's just, forget the coaching, which is already in question in some spots. We don't have the talent level to do that in year 3. But you should, by bringing in, this 22 class, which should have at least a few impact guys, and then getting some more guys in the portal, you should bare fucking minimum make a bowl, no question, next year. And I'd like to see him push for 8 wins. Like, is that totally fucking unreasonable? Miami and Florida are likely to both have new coaches. Waiting for the Manny Diaz news to come out. So you got year 1 coaches installing their shit, right? They're likely going to have some guys leave their schools. LSU, who we play next year, while talented, is going to have a new coach trying to implement his shit year 1. Right? Wake Forest is likely to take a step back because they have an older team. They're going to have a lot of guys graduate, you know, so that you think they take a step back. Clemson, I mean, they're probably not going to be, they should be improved. I don't see how they're not. But my point is, Miami, Florida, LSU are going to have year 1 coaches you're facing. Wake Forest is going to take a step back. And any other team on your schedule, not named Clemson, should at the very least probably be a coin flip chance to win. Like, it shouldn't feel like a murderer's row next year based on some of the things that have changed with coaching staffs and certain players leaving certain teams. So, like, don't go out next year and fuck dick around and barely make a ball, like, because then you'll lose the fan base. And I know this is a long rebuild, but man, goddamn. Goddamn, man. I'm just over the losing. I'm over it. I'm not saying Mike can't get us back to where we want, but we're just not close. Like, I think if we're fortunate, 2023 might be the year where we're, like, competing for the conference, but it just feels really far away. All right, I'm out.